this beautiful crowd, and thank God for this sunshine. How lucky are we to be sitting here on this beautiful island in this beautiful library, and we're just so blessed. Thanks so much to Julianne and Bobby and the Johann Fuss Foundation for allowing us and inviting us to be here in the month of February. You know, it's almost over. I can't believe that this is our 4th one, and what a great attendance. Bad weather, good weather, it doesn't matter. Everybody wants to come out and hear a bite. So I'm also looking, I've got people in the crowd that I'm pointing my fingers at here and there that maybe can do one next season. So no commitment now, but we can talk about it and think about it. But I just have my little advertising I have to do. Don't forget about the upcoming events at the History Center downtown, March the 2nd. We're going to have a pop-up exhibit. And that we've kind of taken a timeline of here and now, worked on some of the buildings downtown, what they were and what they are now. When we started talking about this, we had this huge list of things and stories and all that. We can't do them all, so this is a short one. It'll be over by where Gasparilla Outfitters is in that little parking area, and it'll be at Hope you'll come and visit, and there's more and more stories to tell as you see the pictures. So I have to ask now, who went to the History Center this week? All right. I was fortunate enough to be there to see some of you there, and I was really proud of you because I kind of put it on you last week. If you haven't been to see it, you really need to go visit. And please bring your families, bring your grandchildren. I actually took my 35-year-old grandson there this Saturday. I captured him. I had him in the car with me because I was taking him to do some work on the island, and I said, first you have to come with me. I really want you to see this. And he's like, okay, Gami, I'm Gami. Okay, yeah, I'll go, whatever you want me to do. I was so excited and happy because not only is the Joyner family represented there, but my maiden family name, the Fugates, is very well represented. Plus, this is where we grew up, and he was able to grow up here with me a lot of the time. And he was blown away. He was like, wow, I had no idea. And he got so excited, and he was out. I told Cindy and Rick, who were there, I said, I said, we need him to stand on the corner because he went outside on the way to the car and somebody rode by in the golf cart. You need to come in. You need to come see this. So that was my gift from him and for all of you, because I am so proud of it, and we're all proud of our heritage so much. So we have, this is the last History Bite, but we will be having a couple more talks and different things going on through the season. So please stop in. These History Bites are filmed by Rick from Island TV, Boca Grande Island TV, and Alex over here is doing our audio. So within 2 weeks, you're able to see each History Bite and even ones from previous years on the Boca Grande Historical page or on their Boca Grande Historical YouTube page, and also on Boca Grande Island TV at a later time. But this will be on our History Society's Facebook page too, and all these events are there, they're archived, and for you to watch and to show if you happen to miss it or you want to go back and look at something. Timelines. This is one of the things that I was telling some people here a few minutes ago that one of the things that does get me thinking about history when I know we're going to do these things. And Rosemarie and Jambalaya, who we're honoring this season, through this whole month of February, but every day actually. They're not able to be here today because they're in the process of moving. And they're very sad not to be here, but we're so happy for them. They've been out of their home since Ian. And they're still not in it, but they're in the process of working with moving and moving back into it. So we were able to celebrate with them for the 3 weeks here, and we're all going to celebrate with them here today. And one of Jim's projects as archivist at the center is he constantly is working on projects and researching. The last couple of weeks when I go in, he's got one of the notebooks. I think there's maybe 7 or 8 on Black history. And I went in and kind of looked through it, and it brought up memories to me, as always, because I was very much involved. We had people working in our home, in our businesses, that were Black. And I kind of had, she wasn't there all the time, but she was sort of a nanny, and she brought her granddaughter, with me, and we grew up together, Michelle, and Willie Mae and Truly Bell, who also worked for the Weymouths, and they were just very special people, and there's stories about a lot of these people in there that were here, and they were part of our family. They're very much part of our Boca Grande history. Sadly, the village downtown was torn down when the Sunset really decided to tear them down and build what's there now on Palm and the canals there. And then they moved to the south end of the island, and then the storms and time took over, and so we only have a few people that are left. The Thomas Bilbach family was the last family that actually lived and worked for the Folliettes for many, many years. And of course now we have the Jamaicans here who we all love and are here for the season. So we are very blessed still have a great Black community, and there's so much history, and there's so much part of my history. Also, one of the things that Jim has worked on is the timeline. And you can go on our history site and you can see that timeline of what happened from the late 1800s that he's got marked through the years. It's like a walk through the timeline at the center too. But I was so excited because when Nancy Galliher said she would speak, and she actually came to me and said, I can do that, I can speak, a few years ago, before her issues that she's had. But so I thought, I'm going to go back and look what was happening in the late 30s and to now. So her family has been coming here since the 30s, and some of the things, the Pew Gates downtown, the main building wasn't built until after your grandfather might have started coming. There's so many different things. The school was newly built, the different things. So our community just started coming together after like 1926 that we really started building our town. All that history, I am not a good fact person, but I'm a storyteller, as my father was before me. So I also just want to say, you can't miss it, you've got to go. Just please join the History Center if you're not a member, and take your friends and go visit. So thank you all for coming. I have a couple little announcements from Scott Shively, our Vice President. Scott, you want to come in and give a few announcements? Also like to thank Ferguson and Skipper, the law firm. They're celebrating 45 years in service this year, and they are our sponsors for our programs this season.
Hi, I'm Scott Shively, aka the guy who checked you in. I'm on the committee with Betsy for the Education, Event, and Outreach Committee. Today, the History Bite, as she mentioned, is the last one of the season. This season also culminates the last of all the seasons together, 25-year anniversary. That's a lot of History Bites. And we wouldn't have had any of the History Bites if it wasn't from Betsy. Betsy, we want to say thank you. She's an Island native, a previous board member, an organizer of many things, and as I just learned out there, she calls herself a storyteller. Her dedicated contributions over the years has shaped the success of this program and really made a difference. We're very proud of you, Betsy, and your dedication to the island history and our beloved History Bites. So on behalf of the Historical Society's Board of Directors, past and present, we'd like to say a big thank you for your dedication to bringing us the stories of our island's precious memories.
Well, that was a surprise. He told me he was going to talk about upcoming events for next season. Thank you all. I couldn't have done this without Sally Van Italy, whose idea it was with Robert Johnson, and they started it. They were working on it. My mother and Pansy Koss were very much a part of it at that time. And Robert and he started having me collaborate with him, although sometimes we didn't collaborate really well. Some of you remember my good friend Robert, but he did an excellent job for many years, and I think I've been actually maybe doing it for 10. But it is my pleasure, and I do love this album, and I love all of you. So thank you. I do want to, I'm not going to take too much more time, Nancy, she's getting ready, but I want to say, I talked about Jim, but I want to talk about Rosemarie too. Rosemarie is heart and soul. She is a researcher, a past teacher, and she is so dedicated to this History Center and the research. And if you don't know something and Rosemarie's there, she will look it up for you, and if she doesn't get it to you tomorrow, it'll be there the next week. And she's really, really dedicated, and she's been really helpful working with me and the different ones of us who are trying to work with the education of the Island School and the different projects on the island. We also have another couple here. I have a special lady I wanted to shout out to. I didn't know she's going to be here today, but Susan Bowers. Susan Bowers and Tom are so dedicated to our community, and they're so dedicated to the History Center. And Susan was one of our great volunteers for many years. She always made it beautiful. Before COVID, we could serve refreshments. And between she and Rosemary and Nancy Lyons and a few others, cookies were served. But Susan was a master of the table. She always had a theme, and her beautiful tablecloths and flowers were just gorgeous. And thank you, Susan. So I think I kind of got through it all, so it's my pleasure to introduce Nancy Galliher.
Thank you. I was saying doing this makes me feel very old. I've been coming down here since, okay, thank you. Anyway, I've got one picture to show that is, I don't know if you can see this. This is my grandfather, and I'm sitting on his shoulder next to the tarpon, and that was taken in 1938. So, a long time ago. But one thing that a lot of people don't realize is this island was really developed as a fishing place, as a tarpon fishing place. And all of the guides they lived on the island then too. It's changed so dramatically. And one little thing I remember, my parents bought the choir robes for the children at the Methodist Church. There were that many children living on the island at that time. So, you know, you can see how greatly the island has changed. And of course, Betsy, I've known almost forever. Her parents used to come down to 19th Street and sit on our bench, and then they'd go walk the beach. So, and of course, her mother, you know, was the island teacher, and her dad built the Pink Elephant, plus, I believe, the Silver King. So, was so important in the development of the island. And let's see, my grandfather, too, actually came down here in the late 20s, tarpon fishing, and he'd go between Usepa and here. And I've got some old pictures, too, I can pass around. Let's see. There's no particular order of these, but if you show a picture of our house, thank you. I don't think I'm going to need it. Thank you very much. So, One thing that I remember, and probably very few of you do, is the old Boca Grande Hotel. And that was located where Boca Bay North is. And it was built with wings off of it. And when they tried to tear it down, they had a terrible time. It was so well built, so hurricane proof, that they really struggled to get the building down. So down there too, there was also a 9-hole golf course. And I flew in a small plane out of there one time. They used it as a little mini landing strip that was south of the hotel. And also going to USEPA as a child, I remember one Easter egg hunt and going around the yard. My mother was kind of following me, and I said, as just a tot, "Ooh, ooh, pretty." My mother snatched my hand away. She thought it was a coral snake. I don't think it was, because there is another snake that looks like a coral snake, but I know it scared the dickens out of her. So, and when my grandfather came down, he stayed in cottages. He'd moved from one cottage to another, and these are the old ones that are closest to the end. And he stayed in many places downtown, the old Sprout Hotel. And one little humorous thing is, and I think there's some of that, at the end, they had their menus printed out, and you would write your own order. The wait staff didn't do it. You'd fill it out yourself. And I remember just being ornery as kids, we used to order as many different things as we could. Keep my grandfather writing and writing. So, let's see. Okay, my parents built their house in 1967, 68. And honestly, there wasn't anything north of there. There was a road and the railroad. And it really didn't look like there could be much there. It was really scrubby, not even palm trees. I mean, it was just scrub. And the island looked very narrow. It's amazing what fill will do. Such as the Boca Grande Isles. There was a little bit there to begin with, but to expand it with fill, the island grew. So, of course, there used to be the train that went down the middle, and I remember when the kids were little, and we were staying in a rental house not too far from here, and they used to run out and count the cars, all the railroad cars going down there. Let's see. One year, brought the kids down, and they had whooping cough. And of course, we're trying to hide them on the train. We didn't want anybody to get us off with a contagious disease. And I have a picture, which unfortunately I don't have with me, of them with, that is when Snow White was so popular, and we had the little stuffed Snow White dolls. And I'm never sure which one got dopey, but I know I had Snow White, of course. Let's see. And again, the tarpon fishing. My grandfather loved statistics, and he was very competitive. So they would go out with Lonnie Fudge in one boat, and I can't remember which one of my brothers went with him, and then Nat Fudge in the other boat. And they'd compete and compare. Well, years later, my husband Dave did the same thing, and what was fascinating is that the statistics were almost the same. So it shows, even though people say, oh, tarpon fishing isn't like it used to be, not so. You know, we showed it's really just the same. So good for tarpon fishing. It's a limited time of year is the only drawback, but it still brings people here to the island. So, as I said, the island's changed so much because the fishing guides used to live on the island. And tarpon, not just Tarpon Street and that area, but they were spread out more. And of course, the island north, there wasn't anything there anyway. So I'm trying to think whether there's any pictures. Of course, our recent storms did a lot of damage everywhere. And I know I've got a picture of one house.
I think I put
Yeah,
that
too.
one out of the Durkin house.
Yeah, of the Durkin house.
The one house there was on the beach. Oh, yeah.
Not there. Gone completely. So as the profile changes, also the Frazier's house, which is 10th Street. It goes from one block to another.
9th to 10th.
9th to 10th. I was shocked when I went, it's just down the road here, to see it all boarded up, and even the restraining wall is broken. I mean, it's just so sad. Well, I've heard that they were replacing the windows when the storm came. So not only did it ruin the inside, but probably structurally, but it's just so sad to see such, it was a showplace for the island, to see it gone. Really, really sad. So, and I think you've got, if you're passing the pictures around. Do you have, anybody have any questions, or there are some people that have been down here maybe longer than I have. Cotton and Hanley, that's the fishing guide's dock.
Where is that today?
That is,
It's gone. It was
gone.
in front of the Pink Elephant.
right,
There were over 40 boats that docked there. That really hurt the fishing economy when that was removed.
yes.
They're passing around a picture of the old guide docks that was in front of the Pink Elephant.
Much more substantial, and the pictures of the number of guide boats. Yes.
Nancy, tell us a little bit about the house that you and David are in now, that is so architecturally beautiful.
Well, thank you. Of course, after Charlie, we added on to it because it was damaged. But when my parents built it, it was, gosh, small little house with a living room, dining room, carport. But they did have 3 lots. So that meant that when we were adding on to it, we could expand it considerably and open it up. So if anybody's seen it from the outside, I think you know on 19th Street it's a very low modern house, sort of mid-century modern design. We used Secret Architects, who also did the library over there. And also the children's library, they did that. So they had wonderful ideas to expand the house. So now we're redoing it after the last storm. And it's coming along. Hope to be in a couple of months maybe. So, yeah, that's, this picture shows, it's really quite historical. It's from the bay, that's the bayou there. And then you can see the beach houses back there.
Tarpon Lodge, or Tarpon Inn.
Tarpon Inn here, and then the inlet is that way from it.
Nancy,
Yes.
when you were a little girl and came down with your family, how long would you typically stay?
A couple of weeks.
And did you stay at
No, usually we rent it. Also, I came by boat when there was no bridge. So they said this makes me feel really old. So we came by boat, and I remember one crossing, it was very rough. And we had the canvas up in the front of it, over, and we were still getting wet. Yeah. So, yes.
How did your family find the island in the first place?
Tarpon fishing.
Tarpon.
Yeah.
Where did they come
That's
from?
what-
Where did they come from the truck on the truck?
Oh, they came from the East Coast, from outside of New York City. I grew up in Scarsdale, New York, Westchester County. So, and we used to take the train and we switched at Sanford, I think it was. Yeah. And I thought it was just delightful, lovely way to come. So, now people fly, and they can fly into our Coral Creek airport in their own private jet. They're so lucky. Any other?
And now you have great-grandchildren coming?
Yes. Right. We have a very large family of 4 kids, 14 grandchildren, and 9 great-grandchildren. So you can't build a house big enough for me. Furthermore, I don't think I'd like that. So that's like a lot of work.
When did your parents, the Hungers, move here permanently, or
After my dad retired, probably in the 70s, the early 70s. Yeah. They built the house in 67, 68, and soon after that. And then we moved in 1990. So after my dad died, we bought the house out of the estate, and it still had a carport.
her parents, Mr. and Miss Gordon Hunger, and her brother, also, as well as Nancy and David, very much part of our community. Very involved in the Methodist Church and in the community functions. And I remember them as a child and as an adult at the Pink Elephant, at Fugates, and the theater, PJC Grill, always. And David was a favorite, liked to eat at the bar and tell his stories.
There's one picture of a couple dancing.
This one here.
And yeah, that's the Pink Elephant. It used to be with a dance floor upstairs, a little bar, and a dance floor. And
Who's dancing?
I don't know who that is.
Maybe it was you.
No. And I think they used to have a liquor store there too.
Yes.
Right.
So where is this?
Oh, that's the Morton's house.
Oh, that's no longer there either, right?
It's painted differently. And that is on,
11th Street.
11th Street. The lovely house. Inside is fascinating too. Beautiful wooden ceiling. So many of the old houses and such charm.
How many tarpon do you think you caught?
Oh. I really don't know, maybe 5. But, and one thing, one of the guides said, you know, she really is better than you guys because she relaxes. She doesn't fight the fish. She waits until she knows she's got a bite, and then she'll hook it, and then slowly reel it in. So, women can definitely be as good fishermen as men.
Do you remember any stories about Fugates, patio shop?
Oh, boy, has that changed a lot.
You've seen a
Oh,
lot of
well,
changes.
it was a pharmacy at one time, yeah, way back. So, which was nice. There's a lot, and then there was a gas station too. So nice to be able to get gas and.
Conversation from Bill or
Oh gosh,
Todd.
yeah. Bill, the guitar player.
Yes.
Yeah. pump your gas and serenade you.
Nancy, did you leave a car here?
No,
So, and if
No,
there
we
wasn't
never
a
did leave
bridge,
a
how
car.
did people need gas?
how did
Oh,
people-
gas for boats. Is that what it
Yes,
was?
yes.
And people had cars on
And
island
people
because they
did
had a
have
ferry.
car- They had a
Oh,
ferry,
okay.
right. Yeah, we had to come by ferry. So I don't think we ever did that with a car, but, that was way before golf carts, oh my gosh. The golf carts are taking over. You can't find a place to park a car because there are so many golf carts. It's kind of the business to be in today, I guess. Any more questions?
I'm just going to say Nancy is also a great artist, and we share a love for a special family, the Alzamara family,
Yeah, oh my, yes.
and Emil.
Emil's doing a new thing for me that is going to be a porcelain bust of a lady, and it's all flowers on her head in all different colors. It just, so he said when the house is ready, he would bring it. But we also have in the backyard a ballerina bronze statue of his. And Dave and I saw it in a showroom in Manhattan and liked it and wanted to buy it. He said, I don't like it. So he made a new one for us. He said the hands were awkward. So, and unfortunately I don't have a picture of that either, but it is beautiful. And the storm did not destroy that. That's a good thing about bronze, so, yeah.
And Emil and his family, grandmother came here from the Peru area, and his mother and sisters are all artists, and they did the work inside the island school. If you've been inside the island school, they did all the
Freebies around the top.
all around in the Farish Hall and all around, and taught some of the first students at the island school all have their own handprint on it also. They also worked in the restoration of the Catholic, the new recreation building, the new building. There's also their tile work in there. And Emil and his brother Daniel and their cousins and their mothers are still doing artwork. And we're very happy. Nancy and I shared stories about him not long ago. If you go inside the theater building and you see the bronze statue with Ambrazo, his arms out, a lot of people don't understand it, but that's Emil's work, and that was his gift. Paul Kruder commissioned him to do what he felt, and he did his love for the island. So Ambrazo is an embrace.
Yes.
So it's actually a likeness of Emil, more or less, because he's very tall, very handsome, and very long arms. And he's embracing the island and the community, because he grew up here, was raised here, was a recipient of the scholarship fund, and is now doing very, very well.
We have a large plaque that Mariana did that was inside of the front door, and it was so heavy that they had to use steel plaque holders underneath it to hold it to the wall. So hopefully it's in storage. There's so much that we put in storage that I don't know what's there, so it's going to be like Christmas when we out.
Emil's Calusa also that he did, that Paul Kruder commissioned him, is in the little park in town too. And those were all shells collected in Boca Grande, shipped to New York. He did a bronze cast of them. And so that's also part of his work, and we continue sharing his. He's wonderful to watch. I watch him on Facebook or on his webpage.
Yes, he's working up upper state New York, Beacon, New York. He's there, he said, because he's close to a foundry, so it helps with his projects. But he's working in all different kinds of material now, from wood to a combination of wood and porcelain to, like a true artist. He's always experimenting, always trying new things. Mariana is still doing her silks mainly, and I took one lesson from her in how to do silk batik dyeing, and I still have this little square thing, but she, that's another thing, I hope it's okay. I had some gorgeous large shawls that she made, and one was of a heliconia, and it was hanging in the walkway between the bedrooms. And silk is fragile, as you know, so we always watched the sun on it, that it wouldn't get ruined, but very, very talented family. And I'm trying to think where the Alzamores lived, where
Holly's is now.
Mallorca?
Well, they live in Mallorca
they're living in
now.
Mallorca,
But their first one came where Winnie Smart's, it's next to the Pocket Park. The building, Winnie Smart was there first, and then, no, did Grace have it first? Yeah.
They live next door to one another.
And, yeah, that was later years, but they had a art studio, because that's when I first met them, and the boys were
That's where
like
your mother
3 and
was.
4 years old. And they would go in and they'd be working in this clay and this work. And that my mother lived there first, and she came and grew. And then later years, they all moved over to Tarpon Street. We were all on the same street. It was a whole street of artists at one time. And they did live side by side. At one, their mother lived in one, and when she passed, Grace lived in one, and Mariana lived in the other one across the street from where I was very fortunate to live on that street for over 30 years. Any stories about what was downtown like? Can you remember, like, where the clinic might have been when you first came? When you
the clinic
were
was
growing
in a
up?
storefront, as I remember. It was before the
It was in,
whole clinic building was built.
it was where Parsley Baldwin is now. The clinic building was there in the pubic building.
And with one doctor, and he might be out fishing. Seriously. And Hank Wright, and he'd have to come in then from his being out in his boat. So, but simpler times, maybe where the people were healthier.
Do you remember the cozy kitchen?
Yes. Is that where the Seals is now?
Where Seal family is? Yes.
And it was more of a breakfast place, as I remember.
It's lunch, yeah.
Did you
Meatloaf
take the train
special.
down? Did you ride the train to the island when that?
Yes, I did.
What was that like?
And it's a good question when the train quit.
59 and 58, I think, 59. The bridge was put in 59. The passenger train, I think, was 59, 60. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where, I think it was Byers that made the trade for the land.
Yes. Bard and Hugh both together traded with the Boca Grande Hotel, and that's when they started the bike path. They traded with CSX in Boca Bay area. That was later on, in the 70s, I think. Bard and his brothers purchased the Gastro Land in 63. So I think it was in the 70s when that took place. That's on that timeline at the History Center. All that's there.
Which I didn't take a look at. I've got to go back and take a look at it. Right. So, many changes, but I think one of the main ones to me is how fishing really developed this island and how important it was for the economy. That doesn't seem to be that way anymore. There are a few people that still love to fish, and Aiken being one who goes out all the time with a fishing guide. She just loves to fish. And there's good back bay fishing. Our son enjoys that. Our
I was
son.
going to say, do you have any comments back there about growing up?
I'm Mike Galliher, so. Her son. Not much. He's really did everything. I've been coming since the early 60s. stuff, so I can even remember the old hotel and the railroad and all that. So it's been quite a place. Now we have a place on the north end.
Yes.
Do you have any wild animals on the island?
Do I have any
Wild animals?
wild animals?
Obscene.
Just a fisherman.
Yeah.
Do you have any, are there any wild animals on the island?
Our son Mike got a picture of a bobcat with an iguana in its mouth. Seriously. That was on the north end of the island. So, and the iguanas are still here. It's about impossible to get rid of them, but everybody's trying. Because they do eat vegetation, as well as they might eat birds and pigs, climb.
Other than Katharine Hepburn, any other celebrities in the early days that would live here or spend time here?
I can't. Davis, can you remember anybody?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Any celebrities other than Katharine Hepburn that lived on the island?
Celebrity.
Can't think of any famous authors.
One that worked with Rex Harrison lived in Burbank, had a house in Gilchrist. He lived on the third house in Gilchrist,
It was hard to hear you. Did you say Rex Harrison had a house here?
No, the person who worked with him, I can't remember their name. When I first came here, she had a house on Gilchrist.
Oh, Katharine Hepburn, you're talking about.
No, the person who worked with Rex Harrison. She lived on Gilchrist.
Oh,
Betsy, Brian, or Hearn?
Brian Ahern, yes.
Yes.
Oh. Eleanor and Brian Ahern,
They
yes.
lived here, their house was just filled with pictures of all the people. They lived in Vevey, in Switzerland, but they weren't here. And it was filled, but they used to go around with all the people who lived in Vevey, with Rex Harrison. I can't remember them, but they were Elizabeth Taylor.
What's your name, please?
Belinda Bender.
Okay. Belinda Bender?
Yeah, and I knew them in Vevey because my parents lived there. And when I was about 12, I remember them all coming to dinner. And when I came here, Mrs. Ahern was living on Gilchrist, and I knew her from Switzerland. And she provided me in and everything, and she showed me all the photographs she had of everyone. And her husband had died then, but he was quite
I'm sorry, I wish we could have gotten the microphone to you before. What a great story. We'll have to get you to, we'll have to record
They
that.
had a talk about her one year.
Yes, yes, we did.
2 or 3 years ago, remember?
Yes, we had that recorded.
They were sort of famous, I mean, in that way.
She's speaking about Eleanor and Brian Ahern, who had a home on Gilchrist. And we'll have to try to get a little more information and get the microphone to her. Those great memories. There are so many stories. I mean, you can't tell them all in one day. And they're, we like to say, everybody's famous. Sometime or other. When I was growing up, I was taught not to make a big deal about the people that came here. And we served them and, took them cocktails and talked to them in the Fugate store and downtown and everywhere, just like we'd be speaking to you. And we weren't supposed to make any big deal about them. So, as David said over there, celebrities.
I remember Katharine Hepburn going into Hudson's, and nobody really paid any attention to her. I mean, they didn't say, "Can I have your autograph?" or leave us alone. And I think anybody famous who came here was treated the same way. They had their space, nobody bothered them. Or
Yeah, when we've also had a couple talks here. Kathy Futch has spoken, and I think some of that information you have there, Kathy, Mark Futch's wife, Kathy, she worked with Katharine Hepburn, and Mark took her flying and took her oystering and all those things. So she was just very, very natural and played tennis and went swimming on the beach, and she enjoyed her life here. And I was working at Fugates at that time when she first came, and offered for her to come shopping after the store was closed. That I would stay after the store was closed so she could come in. And she said, absolutely not. You know, I will come in whenever you're open. And that's kind of the way she was. And she enjoyed Boca Grande very much, and everybody in the community enjoyed her.
Nancy, do you remember the Crownin shoes? Did you ever meet Louise?
No. That was
The question was, did you ever meet Louise Crownishield?
No. That was maybe before my time.
How about the Engleharts?
Yes.
Did you meet the Engleharts?
Yes, I remember him. He loved to fish. And I remember going out on his boat with his golden retriever. On the boat with him, fishing. And of course, Jane was an elegant, elegant lady. And they entertained in high style. Lots of servants. Yeah, I think the only time I ate there, I counted there might have been more help than there were people at the table.
I know there's so many more stories here. Just for kicks, how many people have been here, come to the island that actually came on the train? I know some of you. David Hammond. No, you didn't come on the train. Ann said she's been coming here for 50 years. Ann Lyons. Who else is here? Anybody else? How about 40 years? There you go. There you go. Yeah, I think we've got more people than you realize that are not newcomers, and there's so many stories to tell. Everybody has one, and everybody has a different version of it.
I just have a question about the shells. Have they changed over these many years?
I think definitely, yes. The shelling used to be wonderful and easy, and now it's, I don't know, not sure why. And that's been for quite a few years
Yes,
now,
right.
that it's not been like it used to be. We used to have jars of different kinds of shells.
I think this development is part of it. Shelling, has the shelling changed was the question, and you could go out and piles and piles of shells. We do have and we had more this year with nor'westers coming in and the storms coming in. I've seen pictures of more and more people finding genonas and lion's paws and things that I don't remember finding. I never found a genona. My mom did and my brother did, and I found a piece of one, I think. But
I remember one time my dad was on the beach and a lady was coming toward him, and this genonia was halfway between them, and he really picked up his speed.
that's a beautiful collection of shells that we have here. And if you don't know what a genona is, I'm sure there's some over there, but it was that, a lion's paw, a double pecten, or yellow pecten, or like I've tried to find, and I usually found lots of pectens and olives, but I never did find a genona. That was another thing, and you probably remember, you might even have had it in your house, your parents' house, was the shelf tables.
We did. We had two of them that were built by Jack Silcox, and I believe he did the library doors, and he did the doors on our house, the original doors on our house as well. Fine carpenter.
And it was kind of standard, if you had one of Jack's, you'd have a nice shell collection on your patio or in your living room or whatever. I know at the original Pink Elephant, my dad's up in the bar, he had some great tables that Jack had bought. And I think one of them was a shell table, and then the other one was like the map of the chart. I didn't never get one of those.
I say that makes me kind of sad because these shell tables were end tables for the sofa. There were 2 of them in 2 drawers, and one might be all sand dollars, and they were all just pristine. And then there were other kinds too, and other shells, and I don't know which happened to them. I'm afraid they were a little fragile, so I think they're probably gone. But good shelling may come back.
Did you ever have coquina stew?
Yes, my mother made it once. There was still a lot of sand.
We used to make, and I remember as kids, we always would go, and it was kind of, and collect coquinas. And there's a little tiny double shell that comes in, the tide comes in and out, and
Like
all
a
beautiful
butterfly
colors.
when it's open.
It looks like a butterfly. And you had to put them in the sieve, and you let the sand drain out of the sand, drain out of the sand. And my mom would make the coquina stew with them, and you know, it's usually like a cream, butter. It was always about the butter. The butter and cream and some garlic and little onions, and that was about it. Sometimes she added carrots, but there was, you know, little teeny muscle. It took a lot of coquinas to make a pot of soup. But that was one of the things that was a daily, you always played and looked for coquinas.
And the crabs, the night crabs, when you go out at night, and they only come out at night and they go sideways, and we try and chase them. Chase them and catch them, and I don't know what. Never ate any, but.
My mom and dad were so lucky to be able to be friends with the Hungers and with the Gallihers, and they walked, especially my dad would walk every single day, twice a day, a couple, 2 miles or whatever. And at one point David said, we're going to put a bench out there. And he put the bench out there, and so then they would have their cocktail on the way out. Maybe they had one on the way in. But for years, they established a great friendship, so it was great.
Betsy's parents were really special. They did so much to develop this island. And your mom being the teacher at the island school.
We didn't ever pass this around. This is the most important one. Does anyone have any other questions or anything?
We're doing a book on my grandfather, John Hancock. Of course, he always got teased because they'd say, well, just put your John Hancock here. And he said, well, that is my name. But he did love to fish. And he took us as children here and then Nova Scotia for tuna fishing. That's the big 800-pound variety. And then out to British Columbia for rainbow trout, brown trout. So, you know, but back then too, that was the days of trophies. You know, they all loved to have their trophies on the wall. And I remember, I don't know what my mother did with them, but they had the mountain goats and mountain sheep, and they even had one caribou head, and these were on the walls of the house. So when my mother closed it down, I think she just got rid of it. So, but what goes around comes around, so who knows, maybe trophy heads will be popular again someday.
So I have a question about your landscaping that you're working on. She's also a gardener, and to have to plan landscaping after you lost everything, salt tolerant, how's it going?
It's beautiful, honestly, it really is. You can drive by 19th Street, house on the left closest to the beach, and see the landscaping that this Mexican man, Mr. Martinez, is doing. It's outstanding. He has an artistic eye. It's not just healthy plant material. it's really outstanding what he's doing. So even if the inside isn't finished for a while, the outside will be beautiful. And we've lost houses going up Shore Lane that are now just empty lots. And it's always interesting how an empty lot looks so much bigger than a lot with a house on it. And interesting also that it doesn't seem to lower the value of it, nor have the hurricanes taken prices down on the island. Cotton lived on 19th Street on the other side, and I think she's one of the first people I met when I came down here. Another Hoosier. Yeah.
How long were you in Muncie?
Pardon?
How long were you in Muncie?
Oh, gosh.
How long were you in Muncie?
Married in 58. So I've lived there ever since. Most of all, say, yes. Yes.
Was the library here when you came as a child?
And when was the library built? Do you know?
At 49, 50.
Okay.
They're celebrating 75 years, so 51 it was actually opened.
It's just such a gem, isn't it? We're so lucky to have it. Yeah, Dave spent more time going to the library and getting out books he loved to read. And he and Tony got to be good friends. I said, you should be on the library board. You spend more time there almost than home. So.
How about the opera? Do you remember the opera on Saturdays at the library?
I don't, but I'm not an opera buff. So.
They used to pipe the opera music in here on Saturdays. I just remember hearing it piped in. It was probably during season. I don't know if they did it in the summertime or not.
Probably not. Any more questions?
Any more questions?
Yes.
I just really want to thank Nancy for speaking. What a difficult thing for her to try to dredge up pictures and memories and things while she's restoring her home. But I'm so happy she was able to do it and keep passing those pictures around, and we can look at them and ask questions too.
This was definitely a team effort.
But thank you all for this season. Please think about who wants to share next season, and you can always give me a hint on a name if you want, or somebody. He's covered his head up over there. And I've talked to a few people, but I know they're like Nancy. They're like, you know, I've been coming here for so many years. I may not be able to tell the story, but everyone has a story. And please look into the History Center web pages and things. There's always something on there. And Rick and I had a little conversation the other day. I said, Rick, there's this picture on Facebook that was of the train, and we passed that one picture around here today, I think. And I was amazed at how one picture had this many memories spoken about it. And people I hadn't heard from in a while and from all over the country are reporting on a memory of the train. And that's just from one picture. And we're fortunate to have Rick working in the office, some working on that media process for her. And stop in and say hello to Cindy Crespo, who's working in the office. And please just come and enjoy. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you.